Want to see how I prep my silicone hand? Stay tuned. Hey YouTube, it's LA. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of house cleaning and undoing some stuff that I've done to my silicone hand. So as you can see right now, all I'm doing is I'm using my D&D hand drill and or electric file, and I am removing all of the acrylic and gel polish off of my silicone hand. Actually, go ahead and give an update on this drill while I'm thinking about it. I've been using it for a couple months now. I love it. I think that it is a great tool to have. Um, it does get a little hot after using it over 20 RPM or 20,000 RPM for a long period of time, but that's just because the motor is running on high speed for a long period of time. So with that being said, I do enjoy the drill. I don't intend on buying another one. I think I'm going to end up going with Kierra Sky, and then this will be my backup drill. But for the money that I paid for it, it is a great product. I definitely recommend buying it, especially if you're a brand new nail tech and you're trying to find something that's a little bit better than the ones that you're seeing on like Amazon that are cheaper. Again, this one was a little more costly. I can't remember the exact number that I paid for the product, but I want to say it was at least $240. With that said, I definitely enjoyed. I've enjoyed using it thus far. So as you can see, like I said, I'm continuing just removing that product. Oops, I dropped it, but I'm just removing that product from the silicone hand. The silicone hand is from Iguana. I bought this, I want to say immediately after I graduated nail school, and that was in 2020. So this is something that I've used on and off just to practice, and I told myself I was going to be doing more nail sets on this just to visualize concepts and stuff like that. So I wanted to go ahead and remove all of that product and go ahead and set it up to where it's easy, so I can easily remove the acrylic or gel that I'm putting on there and not have to worry about messing up the silicone, because as you can see, once I remove all of that product, you'll see the dings and dents in the actual silicone nail bed in itself, for me trying to pick and pull away from the product from there. Next, what I'm doing is I'm adding acetone into a basin. If you notice, it's a little what's the word? I can't think of the word right now, but actually inside that basin, they're created to remove acrylic, and that basin underneath is actually filled with hot water. I poured acetone in each one of those little couplets, and that hot water is just going to help with increasing the speed of removing that acrylic. So as you can see, I also have a single finger. Now that finger came from Amazon. I'll have the name of the company in the description below because I don't know it off the top of my head. But right now, all I'm doing is just removing that product piece by piece. I'm removing what's able to come off, putting it back in the acetone, and I'm doing the same thing for my bigger hand. It looks like I'm being really rough with it, and in reality, I'm actually taking my time. It's just the fact that there is no armature wire in there, so it bends those fingers all kinds of ways as I'm removing the product. Red Iguana actually this was their cheaper version, because again, I was fresh out of school. I'd spent all this money to go to school, and I really wanted the silicone hand, but I didn't have the money to buy the one that had the wire inside to where it was posable and stuff like that. So mine is really flimsy. So again, when you see me picking this stuff off of it, it may seem like I'm being really rough with the silicone, but I'm not. This is also sped up 3 times. It's in 3 times speed. So yeah, it's going to look a little rough. Now, the one that I'm removing acrylic on right now. That one actually has a wire in it. So as you can see, it's more controlled when I'm removing that product. So again, all I'm doing is going in, removing that product. I'm actually going underneath the cuticle and removing that additional product underneath there. I want to make sure that I remove everything. So when I do go in and start putting in the new tips and stuff like that, there's nothing that's going to be blocking me. There's no gummy acrylic at the bottom. Speaking of gummy acrylic, as you can see, this acrylic is not scraping off like MMA acrylic or EMA acrylic. I am losing it, you guys. It is also really early in the morning. Um, but what I'm realizing is, as I'm watching this video over again, is that that was actually MMA methyl methacrylate instead of EMA ethyl methacrylate. So the difference between the two is the fact that MMA is actually used to like create dentures and stuff. That is very dangerous to use on human skin. Luckily, this was on a silicone hand. Reason being, the reason that I even used it was because I thought this was EMA. I went to a local nail supply. I bought a bottle of liquid monomer, and it said that it said no MMA on it. But that wasn't the case. Now, when you go into some of these local nail supplies, they'll have bottles like the bottles that actually say like liquid monomer on it, and they'll pre-fill those with what's supposed to be name brand liquid monomer. In my case, I was lied to. This was MMA, and I'm glad that I have not used this on any of my clients because that would have been absolutely terrible. Since then, I've gone ahead and bought the actual container of liquid monomer that actually has the label and everything else. So right now I'm just showing you the product that was removed, and then also I'm taking that same paper towel and I am pushing it into each one of those little couplets and removing the acetone. You never want to pour acetone down your drain because it will eat those pipes up, those PVC pipes underneath your sink. It'll eat that up. So just make sure that you remove it with a paper towel and then throw away and dispose of it properly. Next, what I'm doing is taking a little bit more acetone and I'm removing any of any other product that or residue that was left behind from me actually cleaning out all of that acrylic. As you saw, I was also getting it off my hands, but I take the time to remove all of that additional residue just to make sure that I'm getting the best possible clean. Next, I'm going to actually come in with some alcohol, which you'll see me do in a moment. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to wipe the hand down to basically remove any, not just residue, but any dust that was accumulated on it. Silicone actually has, it's really easy to accumulate dust on that thing. If you have a silicone hand at home, you know what I mean. When I go in, I drill. I have essentially, if you don't want to deal with that extra dust, once you've drilled your stuff, you need to go and wash your hand, and then before you put it back on that table or whatever you're using, you're going to want to wipe that down as well before putting it back, because all it will do is dust will just reaccumulate on it. It is a really dust friendly hand. So next, what you see me doing is just taking some cuticle oil and rubbing that into the silicone because I don't want it to dry out from all of the alcohol and acetone that I used on it. So I'm just reconditioning it, and you can do that. As you can see, I'm just putting a couple drops on there on both sides and then rubbing it in really good. And you can see as you can see, I am making sure that I'm going in even on those nail plates, and I'm rubbing it in really well as well. So next, what I'm doing is I'm actually going to be putting in some nail tips as a base So I'm going to be using some BTS nail tips. And again, I'll put the information for those in the description. And then I also have Kierra Sky nail glue. So what you see me doing, which is actually kind of cut off, I apologize. I took the nail tip, I want to say it was a number 5. I took it and I flipped it to where the square edge went inside underneath the cuticle, and then I glued it in place. Now, the reason why I did this is because it gave me a more realistic look for the nail edge. And then all I'm doing is repeating that process on my other silicone hand. In this case, what I'm doing is I'm actually fitting all of those nail tips as of right now, and then I'll go in and glue all of them. That way I have everything already set up. As you can see, like I said, I'm going in with the nail glue. I'm just picking up that nail tip, putting some nail glue in there, and then laying that nail tip onto that product and sticking it onto the silicone. So you can see me do that with all 4. Now, depending on what silicone hand you have, the size of nails may differ, so I'm not going to say what sizes I use because they more than likely will differ. The hand that I'm using is a little bit smaller than some other hands, and I want to say the reason why is because it was cheaper. So yeah, that's why mine is a little bit smaller, so I use smaller nail tips. But again, depending on the size of the silicone hand you get will determine what nail tips you're gonna have to use. And as you can see, it looks really good. It looks natural, it looks real-ish on a silicone hand. So that is what I did for that. Next, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding some nail tips. As you can see, that's Una Gela. Again, I'll put that information in the description box because I wanted to do a square tip on my single finger, but I wanted it with no C curve. Or I wanted C curve, I'm sorry, but I didn't want the traditional curved tip on there. So what I'm doing is I'm going back into those BTS BTS nail tips, finding one that's slightly larger than the size that I used before. And instead of gluing that on top of that nail plate, I'm actually going to use some of the stickies. So that way, once I'm done with the nail, I can actually just use a orange stick and go in between the 2 nails and pick it off. So as you see, I'm just removing that the paper off the adhesive, applying that new nail tip, and then I know the screen is moving pretty quick, but as you can see, that new nail tip is on top of the tip that I actually glued on. And then I'm going in with my extendo and finding a size that matches the one that's on the outermost top, like on the top. And then from there, I'm actually going to use some more Kierra Sky glue, and I'm going to glue that on. All right, Kierra Sky glue is amazing, you guys. It dries really fast, and that's the final product. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.